waiting for the gym. Hey, what's going on? Good morning in your
Hi, good
time.
morning.
How's everything?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. Can't complain. It's actually sunny finally in New York.
Really? Wow, that's great.
Yeah, we had like a 2 week stretch where it was like one day is like 60 degrees, then the next day is like 20 degrees.
Yeah,
So, but I want to start out by saying, just hopefully, the family and yourself are, safe and healthy during this time.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we are. Just following all the precautions and staying at home as much as possible. So,
Yeah, I
yeah, thank you.
always, no problem. I've always emphasized to the fans that, we know people tell us to stay home, quarantine and whatnot. But for you guys, it's almost like a way to kind of eliminate yourself, isolate yourself when you guys are in training camp. You stay off the social media, you guys stay away from your family
Yeah.
and whatnot. So this is really not a big transition, right?
Yeah, no, not really. I love to stay at home anyway. So,
Mm.
so the whole stay at home thing is not an issue for me. The only thing is, not being able to go to the gym to work out because like having to do it like at the park or, at home in the backyard or inside the house is a lot different than having the gym to go to. So, that's the only thing that's the big difference is, having the gym to go to.
Okay, okay. I also wanted to congratulate you too because I seen one of your posts. You kind of reflecting on, what you're doing at home and talking about writing like a children's book. Um, you know,
Yeah.
that was pretty dope. Can you explain a little bit about it for the
Thank
fans that?
you. Yeah, so I've always loved writing. Writing like English has always been my favorite subject. So like in school, um, even though like I would fail classes, different subjects just because like I don't know, I just wasn't a big fan of school. But English and writing was always like my thing, and it was just always easy for me and something that like I just loved to do. I was able to express what I was thinking. So lately I've been writing children's books. I would say for like the past few years, I just never really finished any of them. With training and everything else going on, like I kind of just always procrastinate about finishing them. So, with the extra time, I finally been working on them and had the chance to finish about like four of them, four or five. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's something that we're working on publishing the first one. The first one is actually it's kind of like my story, but in in a children's book version. It's about a female kangaroo who wants to box, and just the struggles of how, her dad not wanting her to, and the other boy kangaroos making fun of her. And,
Of
I won't say too much, but yeah, that's pretty
course.
much the first book. I would like to publish that one as soon as possible, publish that one first. So we're working on that. Yeah. So we're getting illustrators and everything like that in place. So I can't
And,
wait. I'm
ho-
excited.
and hopefully it comes out really soon so we could, all tune in and watch it. I mean, read it ourselves. Was that always your, like, I know boxing's what you do, but I'm saying, was that something you seen yourself doing, like, before boxing, like, as a career, or how did that all map out? Like,
Yeah, it's kind of something I've always wanted to do, like even as a kid, because in school, like I said, writing was always my favorite thing to do. So I knew eventually someday there's something I wanted to do with that. So now that I have the opportunity to be on the platform, to be able to, you know, encourage kids, and the books are all about like encouragement and confidence and all about dreams. So now that I have the platform, and my, hopefully my fan base and platform only continues to grow, there'll be more kids out there who can read the books and have something positive to read, and also something that they can of course learn as you read. I mean, that's the best thing to do is read a book and learn something out of it and get some value from it.
mm, that's great. That's great. And as a media, I think that's a great way for you too, because like you get to hit a whole new different demographics, young
Right.
little kids and whatnot. So that's really dope, and I'm very proud of you. Like I said, you
Thank you.
continue to strive for greatness. In other words, you don't get comfortable. You always want to push yourself to do better. So hopefully everybody that's tuning in live, appreciate all the hard work you put in.
Thank you. Yeah, there's definitely, just because I'm a female fighter, just because somebody is a fighter doesn't mean they can't follow any other dreams or accomplish any other goals in their life. There's multiple things that I would like to do. So, I'm just working every day to accomplish each thing that I want to do.
There you go. Can you kind of just compare and contrast like the labeling and stigma? Because I feel like in today's society, right? Women's boxing is a little bit more appreciated today than from
Yeah.
10 years ago in retrospect. So can you explain like maybe similarity differences you experience?
Yeah, man. It's always been such a struggle and like such a long, long road because I've been boxing for about 18 years. And when I first started, when I was 8 years old, like women's boxing was completely dead. It was I grew up in a decade where um, you really didn't see women boxing on TV at all. Like the first question I asked my dad when I first wanted to box was, "Do girls box?" That was my first question because I had no idea. We would always watch boxing on TV, and it was only men, so I didn't even know if they, were in the sport of boxing. And yeah, it's just amazing to see how it's changed so much, and really within the last couple of years. And that's the one thing that like was the hardest thing for me, was to always have patience and keep believing in myself, and just patience is really the main thing, because there's so many times where I wanted to give up because I felt like the state of women's boxing wasn't going to go anywhere. And good thing I didn't give up, and I continued to keep training and keep fighting. And yeah, now it's in a great place, and it's only going to continue to improve from here.
There you go. And the crazy part, right, is like I remember the last HBO show was closed out by a women's bout, which was a
Right.
milestone
Yeah.
in its making. You guys are also featured in pay-per-view. I know you're on the zone now, so I feel like you guys are getting the exposure now. You guys are being promoted now, and I feel like all the fans. I think you guys give more action than some of the male fights most of the time, which I'll be
Yeah.
like, oh man, this was a great fight. Like I want to see this one again. So I really
Yeah.
thank you guys. As a male, right?
Thank you.
I would say anybody that gets in the ring, it's not easy. You're taking hits to the head. You're endangering your lives. Like you go in the ring, you don't know if you're coming out safe.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah,
you know
respect to anybody. Thank you. Um, and yeah, like you said, like when I was growing up, um, people would ask me like, "Who's your favorite female fighter?" But like, I did never really had any favorite female fighters, just because I didn't watch any growing up. And women's boxing, it wasn't exciting to me because the skill level wasn't there. But now we have women who actually have skills in the ring, and it shows. So that's what's making the sport, a lot more popular for women, is because people are starting to see that we have skills and we can fight and we can put on entertaining fights.
there you go. Moving forward, we know that the sport of boxing is we're still uncertain when things are going to go back to normal and whatnot. How do you feel as a fighter in terms of your health and safety? Is there any concerns if you fight in a no crowd, or it is what it is? Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it is what it is. I don't have a problem with fighting without a crowd. I mean, um, for us fighters, like when we step into the ring, the only people we hear is our corner and our trainer, and that's it. Like no matter how loud the crowd is and how many drunk people are yelling and screaming, and how many fans are in the building, like once you step into the ring, you don't hear any of that. Like you're just so in the zone, and all you hear is your corner. So I feel like for us fighters, we would still be willing to go in there and fight either way. But of course, I love to see the crowd there and my fans there and people who support me. So especially family, family not being able to even be there, that sucks. But at the same time, we want to fight, and we have to get paid to support ourselves and support our families. So I think, yeah, I would fight either way.
I've had a lot of great conversations with a lot of fighters, current world champions, former world champions on my Instagram live, and the same question I asked you previously. They tell me that during this no crowd era of boxing, they say like I said, I guess we'll break it down two parts. Is it true or false that people that are good at sparring are going to benefit fighting in no crowd because the bright lights won't be with the atmosphere and whatnot? And part, like, is that, you think that's true? Because they're saying like I mean, like, I didn't even think about it either. They were saying, like, there are people that are really good at sparring. Like, oh my God, they give you so much good work, but they can't translate it
That's true.
okay.
Yeah, that's very true. I agree with that. And like, also, me and my team were talking about it. We're like, man, like, if I end up fighting in like July, I'm not going to have really any sparring at all. But I never really have any sparring at all.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, there's one time where I went into a fight with only like 6 rounds of sparring. And like, yeah, so that will really be like no difference for me, you know, like getting rounds of sparring, because I hardly do anyway. But of course, when I do get a lot of rounds of sparring, like, I appreciate all the girls who really try to help me out with that. But it's difficult. It's hard for a lot of girls, Guys, they're training in the gym where there's like 20 other guys, so they always have that sparring available. And I think maybe for guys it might be different because a lot of them won't be able to get all the rounds of sparring that they usually do. And sparring is a big deal, and it's a big deal to a lot of fighters going into a fight. So yeah, hopefully that doesn't affect too many people.
Okay. Even other fighters would tell me, like, now we got to be super whisper, and because if there's no crowd, like, they're gonna hear us and our hand signals. So, like, I love how, like, fighters are already thinking like 5 steps ahead. Like, I
Yeah,
find it fascinating, amazing.
I didn't think about that. That's funny. Like when I watched the UFC fights, when was it, last weekend?
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool how you were actually able to hear both corners. So that was cool. But I mean, but yeah, of course, it's definitely a little different when, like, you're trying to be sneaky about or secretive about something, and it's like, nope, we can hear you.
That's so true. Golden Boy is scheduling 4th of July. I think that would be a great way to bring back boxing in
Yeah,
terms of Golden Boy boxing, right? They talk about Ryan Garcia. They talk about Canelo. Are you open to fighting on that same date too? Like, have a
yeah,
stack card? Okay.
that's the date that I'm getting ready for. It's
Okay.
not. It's not 100% yet for July 4th, but that's the date that I'm just getting ready for, just in case. It could be another date in July. So, but yeah, I'm ready. And as far as my last fight, my opponent was supposed to be Jackie Cobble from Mexico. I was going to defend my title against her, but it probably won't be her just because of the whole border situation and all the borders being closed.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to find someone who's from the U.S. So hopefully we can find a good opponent where it can be a good exciting fight. But it'll be a little difficult trying to do that, but we'll see. We're working on it.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the sanctioning bodies are going to be more lenient in terms of, because so maybe you're mandatory, or the top 5 fighters that are ranked in your as your title is, right? They're from
Right.
other countries, so I'm assuming they're going to
Yeah.
domestically fights more often, right?
Right. Yeah. And
Okay,
all of the champions at like 105, 108, and which are the weights that I fight at.
correct.
Even the fighters at 112, they're all outside of the U.S. So, you know, we had like pretty big plans this year for me to fight 2 world champions who are, of course, outside of the U.S. So it sucks that kind of got put on hold. So I don't know if any of those will even happen this year, but I'm hoping that once everything clears and is a lot more better, we can get those fights going.
Okay, okay. In a perfect world, and in your perfect world, what would be? You want 2 fights, 2023 fights? Like, what would you want for the remaining of the year?
Um, for the remainder of this year,
Yeah.
with the whole situation, I say I would probably only fight twice from now till the end of the year. Yeah, but hopefully next year everything will be back to normal completely, and I'll have that 4 fights a year.
There you go. We talked about how this whole pandemic has kind of put everything on pause, but, like, in terms of a training perspective, you're still doing what you got to do, right? Has
Yeah.
there been anything you learn about yourself during this time with like, I don't want to say literally, but, like, the time is literally in our hands, and we control kind of what we're doing at home.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, it makes you realize that all the little things in life, like, is what really matters. You can have all the money, and you can have everything in your life, all the material things, but like in a time like this, what really matters is, you know, the small things, being able to spend time with family that like you were never able to do before, or you always put aside, or you always procrastinated about, you know, doing. So just those little things is what I really, really, you know, got to find out through this whole situation.
Okay. I ask every young fighter, I'll give you some examples. I asked Virgil Ortiz, I asked Shakur Stevenson, I asked Teofimo Lopez in terms of, you know, just kind of looking into the future because I think fans kind of get fascinated when fighters like yourself, right? You win one world champion at one weight class and then you keep moving up to solidify your greatness. Have you ever kind of thought about it? Because only you know how your body is, you know, if your body is growing or whatnot, if you're going to move up in weight
Yeah.
and in your career, what weight class do you see yourself ending? If maybe you put thoughts about it, or if you see
Yeah.
yourself.
Um, okay. I feel like my career, like the weight class that I started kind of like was backwards because I had a lot of fights at 112. Mostly all my fights were at 112 before signing with Golden Boy, but that
Okay.
was just because I didn't have a promoter, and it was difficult to get on a fight card. It was difficult to get fights. So like so many times they would give me an option of fighting a girl who's like a bantamweight, or who can, you know, naturally a bantamweight, but she'll come down to like 113, 115, and I walk around at like 112.
Oh,
So,
wow.
you know, yeah. So to fight at 112, it's not my natural weight class because I don't even have to lose any weight. Like I have to eat just to stay at 112.
Wow.
So, you know, then signing with Golden Boy, I was finally able to fight at 108, you know, the weight class that I really wanted to fight at. So now that's where I'm hoping to stay, 108 and also at 105.
Okay.
So my goal before retiring is to have all four major world titles at 105 and all four major world titles at 108. And I would also like to end it at 112, you know, as well. Even though a lot of the girls there are a lot bigger than me, bigger and heavier, but I feel like I can beat the world champions that are at 112. So I would like to do that as well.
If you complete that task, I think we need to talk to the WBC and making you a franchise champion at this point, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Because if they do it for Lomachenko Canelo, why they can't do it for you guys? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
hopefully that's another milestone that happens for you guys down the road, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I was gonna ask you. A lot of people, I guess I seen a lot of Instagram posts and whatnot between yourself and Marlon, and you know, you guys had a great fight the first one, and
Yeah.
when I seen it on TV and when I was there live, you know, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Eric Morales and Marco Antonio Barrera in terms of the dislike for one another. I'm like, man, these guys really don't like each other. Like, oh my
Yeah.
God. And then, you know, congratulations again on the victory.
Thank you.
Or do you want to give her a rematch, or just, you know, she has to earn it to fight you
Yeah, I
again?
mean, I'm not afraid of her, so of course I'm down to give her the rematch. I'll give her the rematch at 108. So if she wants to come to 108 and fight me, then we can do it. I fought her at 112, which is not my weight class, not the weight class I wanted to fight at. Um, but I said, okay, I'll do it at 112 just because I wanted to kick her ass so badly.
Yeah.
and and yeah, you know, she has so many excuses. Of course, the headbutt. I mean, I watched the fight over and over and over, and I never intentionally, purposely headbutt. Like that's not even my style. Like I never do that. And you know, watching in the ninth round how she quit in the corner, she told the ref that she couldn't see, which I mean, I don't know. I would never do that. Even if both my eyes were shut closed and I couldn't see and couldn't open them, I would never quit on the stool and say that I couldn't see, because I'm a fighter and I have heart and I'm going to fight until the end, especially with one more round left. Come on, who does that? You know,
Yeah.
I'll keep fighting till the end, or until the ref himself stops the fight. And then I heard an interview that she did last week where she said that she contradicts herself a lot in interviews. And she said that she's like, yeah, you know, the cut was really bad and I was looking at the ref like, save me, like help me, like come on.
That's
uh,
crazy.
as a fighter, those words will never, ever, 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 ever come out of my mouth. I will never even think about looking to the ref to save me. But hey, some fighters just have a different mentality, and her mentality is pretty weak. And
Mm.
it showed a lot in that fight. But like I said, I'm not afraid of her, so I'll beat her a second time if she wants to come to 108.
Yeah, a cut that she had reminded me was oh my God, Badu Jack versus Marcus Brown. I don't know if you've seen that
Oh
fight. You
yeah,
see,
Badu
and
Jack's
he still
cut
fought,
was
and
his
he's
cut was 100 times worse. He got like 100 stitches, and blood was dripping over his face. It looked like a massacre happened on his face. And yeah, he kept fighting to the end. And like he said, you know, quitting lasts forever. And you keep fighting, and it just showed people just have different mentalities, in the ring.
yeah.
And me as a fighter, I would never quit in a situation like that. Cut doesn't faze me. I've got cut on the head before. um, Blood doesn't scare me. It didn't stop me at all. So
I'm pretty sure when you're fighting, I'm pretty sure nothing else can. If you guys are getting in the ring, I could already imagine. Knowing, like I said, this is from respect. When I compare you guys to Morales and Barrera, knowing that the history they had and just as it's like, and then moving forward, they ended up kind of having that mutual respect for each other, and I guess they kind of like each other.
right.
Do you kind of see yourself someday you guys getting along and actually liking each other from a mutual standpoint, or no? Just
No, never. Just like I said after the just how I said on the interview after the fight. They asked me if I like her now. I still don't like her, and no, I would never like her. Just because she's just we're just a total opposite from each other. We're just different kind of people. Um, I'm humble and kind, and she's just not. And I feel like we would never get along. And
mm,
still don't respect her.
okay, and that's okay because only you know how you feel, and
Right.
you go out there to especially promote the fight. You got to talk what you got to say because I always tell people, right? Like there are some people that just have that type of character. When you don't like somebody, you just don't like somebody, and
Yeah,
then
and like, yeah, I mean, and I'm not that type of person. Like if I don't like you, I don't like you, and you're I'm not gonna hide it. Like, I'm not gonna show her respect and just to seem nice and like a good person. I know I'm a good person and I know I'm nice, but not to people who are disrespectful. I don't play like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also one thing I tell a lot of fans, I think a lot of fans misinterpret confidence and I guess more stubbornness because I tell people every fighter should feel like they're the best and they should feel like they could beat everybody because the minute they start having doubts, oh, can I beat her? I don't think I could beat her. Then you're in the wrong sport, especially in boxing. Like you should feel
Right.
like you're the best. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, of course I'm confident. I know that I know what I'm capable of accomplishing and what I'm capable of doing in the ring, but I'm not going to go around talking shit to every fighter in my weight class on Instagram or on Twitter. You do your talking in the ring, and simple as that.
Yeah. I wanted to give you some predictions for this big fight that was supposed to happen. I believe it was May was it May or June? Um, Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano.
Yeah, oh man, I was excited about that fight. I can't wait to see it. I like both fighters, and I respect both of them. I think they're doing a great job for women's boxing. But I would have to go with Serrano.
You got Serrano,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
the veteran.
the veteran. Yeah, and I think of course, Katie Taylor's great. She won, what was it, 2 Olympic gold medals?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, and undefeated as a pro. But I felt like she lost that fight with what was the girl's name, Dalvin or something like that.
Oh, you talk about the one when she fought in the Garden, right? The AJ.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, I know
yeah.
what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, I felt like she lost that fight, and I think Serrano is a lot more experienced and skilled than